Hey everyone, this is Doctor Incorporated, helping doctors maximize their personal and professional satisfaction. I want to thank you for everything you've done today. When you look around your home, I hope you see a wife, children, friends, companions, roommates, extended really sources of relationships that you're making happy, that you are influencing for the better, that you are making a difference in their lives, not just because of what you do for them medically, but because of who you are and because of the security and the provisions that you provide in their world, because of really your life and your income and really what you do as a person. You are highly valued. And I know you don't always hear that from your employer. I know you don't always hear that from your patients, and I know you may not even hear that from your family members. But I want you to know today you are highly valued. Which brings me to today's truth. Today's truth is that you must prove your worth to your employer. You must prove your worth to your employer. This is a subject that really took me a little while to get my mind wrapped around as a physician with 25 years of employment experience. I was always driven by really an internal monitor that I knew that I was doing my best. I knew that I was making patients better and making them happy and satisfied with my care. And I knew that I was really practicing good medicine in an efficient and a productive manner. And for many years, I felt like I could just sort of ignore all the stuff going on around me in terms of what my employer expected from me because, frankly, I wasn't too concerned about it. I knew I was a good doctor, and I knew that being a good doctor, that the outcomes would be good in regards to my patients. But as time has gone on over the years, one of the things that has really began to eat away at me is just the sense that I have to prove my worth every month, it seems like. I don't know about you, but we have these practice council meetings that are monthly in our office and have quarterly business meetings for our physician employment group. And at each one of those meetings, we go over the myriad of numbers that have to do with our productivity and the economic forces that flow out of us and flow through us when it comes to our care of patients. We review our patient satisfaction scores, our safety and quality scores, and a host of other things that are really scorecards that sometimes influence how much we're paid, but sometimes are just sort of a scorecard or report card that gives us feedback about how we're doing. And one of the great challenges of those meetings for me is, first of all, because I'm in primary care, our practice sites are often basically losing money. And it's been a source of confusion to me for many years. Because I keep thinking to myself, how can I be working so hard and seeing so many patients, taking care of so many people, but yet this practice is losing money? And as most of you have realized by now, it's because really, as an employed doctor, you have given up the huge amount of downstream income that would have been contained in your office but have now been allocated to other sites within your healthcare employers organization. And so your practice is really set up, quite honestly, to most of the time lose money. And it's not about how much money you are making, it's about how much money you're losing. Obviously, every organization wants to mitigate the amount of money that each one of their physician groups are losing in the outpatient environment. But that's really made up for in the downstream revenue, because at the end of the day, most of those employers have chosen you as an employee, a physician employee in particular, because of the downstream revenue that you create for their organization, not just within the office, but outside of the office. It's amazing to me that the average physician generates about $2.5 million in downstream revenue per year, which is exactly why so many healthcare employers are really working hard to employ more and more doctors, because they realize that their downstream revenue is something worthy of capturing. And that's why they like you, quite honestly. I know for me in my practice, because I'm a traditional family doctor who still does obstetrics, still does some surgeries, including C-sections and so forth, I provide about $5 million in income in my downstream to my organization. And you can bet your bottom dollar that they kind of like me because of that. And I do garner some respect within the organization because of that. I don't get off the hook in terms of my accountability and my need to prove my worth to them every month, but yet they're aware of what I produce and how much I provide to them. And I hope you're aware of that downstream revenue that you provide for your organization. If they're not providing those to you in those monthly reports or quarterly reports, I encourage you to reach out to your administrator and ask them for one of those reports that provide how much downstream revenue you're providing for your employer. I also know that many employers really encourage accountability when it comes to corporate citizenship. Of course, corporate citizenship can look like a lot of things when it comes to your loyalty to the organization, whether it's diminishing the leakage of referrals that you're making to doctors and organizations outside of your own employer, or perhaps it has to do with how many times you're volunteering to serve on committees, or perhaps how many times you're speaking in a community environment, or the number of medical students and residents that you're hosting with you. There's just a number of things that are involved in corporate citizenship that many organizations value, but they frankly hold you accountable and make you prove your worth by proving that you are a worthy corporate citizen. I can tell you that I again found this a little bit strange, because I enjoy doing things to help people, and I enjoy doing everything I can to improve the quality and benefit of my community and help those who are interested in going in healthcare, but I really never thought of it as sort of a ledger that I kept track of that really put notches on my belt when I did that. But for each one of you, you probably know very well that there are those who employ you who are watching over those elements for you. Then there's the quality work element. I know that I'm doing good quality work with my patients, and the frustrating part of that process is I can know that I'm doing good quality work, the patient can know I'm doing good quality work, and even my staff that are working with me to support and scribe my notes can know I'm doing good quality work. But if it's not in a mineable location on the patient's EMR, or the insurance or third party is not able to gather that information of what I've done or not done in terms of my medical decision making and communication, then they act like I never did it, which is so doggone frustrating when it comes to quality of care. And I know for many of you doctors, this is one of those thorns in your side. I know it is for me, because I am very aware that my quality of care, I believe, is as good as anybody else in the country, but yet I get these reports back within the organization that just kind of make me feel like I've forgotten to do things, whether it be the diabetic whose foot exam, it wasn't done, although it was done, it just wasn't documented in the right place to prove that it was done, or whether it be, the patient who needed a mammogram, and I ordered it when they left the office, but the patient failed to show up to get the mammogram, and therefore I get dinged in a report because the patient didn't follow through with what I recommended. There are all these elements of quality of care that we're measured by as physicians that, quite honestly, are so beyond our control and so frustrating at times, but yet I know as employed physicians you are constantly having people beat you down when it comes to this stuff. you really have to prove your worth to those employers when it comes to the quality of care that you provide. And then, of course, there's the whole EMR proficiency thing, which I think is just absolutely absurd, that we are asked to waste our time populating EMR records with mineable data when we could be using our time so much more efficiently. That's why I'm a big fan of team care, our scribe model of care for physicians, because I think it's only wise to have physicians use their brains and their resources to really provide patient care and to make medical decisions and to really do the right things medically for the patient, and let others really help you with that documentation process so that it's placed in the right place, in the right location, and documented in the right way, to really I guess make your life a little bit easier because of the inefficiencies that come with the EMR. I think there's a lot of good about EMRs, but man, there's a whole lot of bad. And if there's one huge physician dissatisfier that continues to come up year after year, it's the EMR, and we all know that. But unfortunately, we have to prove our worth to our organizations, and they expect us to be proficient with EMR population and note taking, and they don't care if we have to get our notes done at lunchtime or before the office or after the office or at nighttime or on the weekends. They just know it needs to be done, and they sort of expect it to come. I tell you, if I've heard one administrator say to me once, I've heard 1,000 times, well, that's just one more click. Well, that's just one more click here or one more click there. And what they don't realize is that those one more clicks taken and compounded by the scores of hundreds and thousands really equate to another 10, 15, 20, even 30 minutes of extra time in my day that lead to me getting home later for supper, that lead to physician burnout and physician exhaustion and physician dissatisfaction. But this is the world that we live in when it comes to, we have to prove our worth to our employers that we can be proficient with EMRs and get all the work done that they expect us to prove that we can make the money they need us to make. So, hey, employed doctors, I know there's a lot of good about what we have going on, and there's many qualities to that come along with that predictable paycheck that we love. But man, these are a few of the things that are a little bit behind the scenes that we all know of. And I invite you as followers with me to chime in on what are some of your frustrations or challenges or unique things that you've learned from having to prove your worth to your employer.